Today we're going to be looking at the top rookies from week 9 in PPR fantasy scoring. We're going to look at those top performers. This is going to help you in dynasty leagues, deeper leagues, confirmation bias. If you can still make trades, it's going to help you prospect out on some of these younger players. We do this every week, so this is something you just need to pay attention to on how these players are looking like. It will also help you for next year as well, because a lot of these players are going to take another step up next year. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now, because we're doing deep dives on the trending players every single day. We're helping you set your lineups with these videos. On top of that, we go deep on the waiver wire every single week, multiple times a week. Click that button right now. Stop missing out. Ric Flair's watching. You do not want to disappoint Ric Flair. We are starting off with Ray Davis. He led all rookies with 17 PPR fantasy points. It was a light week for the rookies in week 9, but Ray Davis got it done, getting the touchdown, catching 2 balls for 70 yards. You're seeing what he's doing on the field. He's still getting you some fantasy production. He's still getting those points in the scoreboard, even though he's sharing the backfield with James Cook, a good 1B back. This is what we were expecting, him to get some work in the run game. And then if something happens to James Cook, his value will increase, because we've already seen that. We saw in week 6 against the Jets, 24.7 PPR fantasy points, 97 rushing yards, 55 yards receiving. This is a very good running back prospect. We're getting used in the passing game as well. A 24% opportunity share last week. There's a lot to like about Ray Davis. One of the top handcuffs in all of football. He's a handcuff plus, because obviously he's scoring fantasy points right now as the 1B back. Brock Bowers. I think he's in almost every video that we've done so far this year. At least 8 of the 9. 8 targets last week, a 25% target share, an 84.6% route participation rate. Ran 33 routes. We're getting a lot of volume here. We're pretty much a big slot receiver here. 60.5% of his snaps out of the slots. That is huge. 15.5 PPR fantasy points, the tight end 5 for the week. Brock Bowers, one of the top tight ends in fantasy football, consistent. Probably the top tight end in dynasty fantasy football, rostered in every league. But Brock Bowers has tremendous upside. Odunze has entered the chat. It's been quiet for him, but he has been hitting in a few games. 25.65 fantasy points against the Colts in week 3. 17.4 last week. The week prior, 10.4. So we're starting to simmer up. We're always getting a lot of workload when it comes to routes. A 94% route participation rate. Usually we're in that area. We're in on a lot of snaps. Looking at the snap rates, 88% in week 9, 75 in week 8, 80 in week 6, 80 in week 5, 99 in week 3, 94 in week 2. Even when Keenan's in or out, we're getting a lot of work. We're getting a lot of volume. 7 targets in this matchup. 6 targets the week prior. Week 5, 6 targets. Week 3, 11 targets. We're getting volume in this offense. It's got to stick a little. Caleb Williams is a rookie quarterback. It's going to be up and down. The Bears are going to be weird. But Odunze does have some talent. Looking at the ADOT here, 15.4 average depth of target. So as he stabilizes in this offense and really hones in on that 20+% target share, which will probably happen next year or later on this year, he's also getting a good ADOT. That should lead to some good fantasy production. Malik Nabers is a stud. He's a stud. We all know this. He's up there with like those Justin Jefferson wide receivers, the Jamar Chases. He is a stud wide receiver. We knew this coming in, that the odds were very good for this to happen. Not only being a very good wide receiver for fantasy, but just being a generational elite talent. Just looking at the numbers from last week's game, 11 targets, a 42.3% target share, 59 air yards, a 5.4 average at the target, so that's a little lower, but we've seen games where it's a lot higher, and ran on 96.6% of the routes. He's out on the field, he's getting all the work. A 42.3% target share is elite. That's big time. We're running a lot of routes, and we're getting a lot of volume. Malik Nabers, nothing surprising you right now with what he's doing. We got the Panthers now on the road. Theo Johnson, he has been trendy all year long, but everybody's been quiet about him. Look at the snap rates here, 86, 79, 81, 71, 78, 89, 90, 97, 85. Might be a cheap buy low right now in Dynasty, but we're getting targets. 10 targets in his last 2 games, 6 last week, 22 routes ran, 41% 50% of his routes ran out of the slot, so we're getting work there. Malik Nabers is just going to suck up the targets in this offense. A 42% target share plus Wan'Dale Robinson, and whenever Darius Slayton's back out there, that's a lot of targets sucked up, so he's going to be very volatile, but we are getting work in this offense. We are getting opportunities. That's something to look at. We scored 14.1 PPR fantasy points last week and 17.10 on Sleeper in that league up there. That being said, we're getting volume, we're getting opportunities to score for you in fantasy football. It's just not hitting yet. It may be down the line, or might be volatile enough where if you're in a deeper league, or if you're looking for deep stashes in Dynasty, something to look at. Xavier Legette is getting the work and should be getting the work. Deontay Johnson's gone. Everything should be ramping up, even with Adam Thielen back, because they're going to play different roles. And this team's sporadic, so expect everything to be sporadic and weird with this team. Just expect weirdness. When it comes to the Carolina Panthers, a 25% target share, 6 targets in this game. We ran on 93% of the routes. Constantly out on the field getting that work. 40% of his reps were in the slot. That's good to see. They're moving him around, getting him in mismatches with that good size adjusted athleticism. Targets per route, 22%. That's good. 13.9 PPR fantasy points. We got the volume. We're getting opportunities. They're really honing into his size adjusted athleticism. JT Sanders has been ramping up, and we've been talking about him a lot these last few days, week and a half or so. These days all run together. Since week 5, here are the targets: 5, 7, 6, 1, 5. We are getting volume. We are getting opportunity. We ran on 70% of the routes. 5 targets last week, a 20.8% target share. Things are looking good. He might be volatile because this team is volatile. 3 of the last 5 games, last 4 games, 19.2 points, 18.1 points, 13.9 points. Title run starts tomorrow. Maybe this is a buy low or buy now or get him before it gets too high type of deal for Dynasty Fantasy Football. He might be a hold right now, whoever has him, so the deal might be done. But JT Sanders is getting that work. Trey Benson flashed last week. He had 8 carries, 37 yards, and a touchdown. We got speed to burn. 4.63 yards per carry. The week prior, 10 yards per carry. Week 6, 5.2 yards per carry. Week 4, 5.56 yards per carry. That's something to pay attention to. Amari Demercado is sharing the workload as well. That's something to pay attention to. So if something happens to James Conner, this is going to be an even split. That's what that's saying. This is going to be an even split. They're going to run Trey Benson. They want to see what they have in the kid, but they know Amari Demercado can hold his own. He's also running on 26.1% of the routes last week, a 24.3% opportunity share. We're getting work. It's 6 routes, though. That's not much, but we got 1 target on those 6 routes. We're getting work in this game. We're getting opportunity. James Conner is going to be the man, but for the long term is a player to look at. Lad McConkey here. Saw 7 targets, ran 32 routes, a 94% route participation rate. We spent a lot of the time in the slot. Only 25% of our reps are on the outside, but that's okay. Those are money touches. Our ADOT went up. We were pushing it downfield, and I noticed against the Browns, looking at Quentin Johnston, that they were running heavy zone and just beating them downfield whenever they were in cover 2 or where there were gaps in the zone, or if they were in cover 1 back there. It was easier to beat, so pushing it downfield. So he could be game script dependent due to that. But 11.4 PPR fantasy points, 13 on Sleeper. Always looking good out of Lad McConkey. Tyrone Tracy got you 12.4 points on the ground against Washington. That's okay. 1 target in this matchup. We ran on 55.2% of the routes. Rushed for 66 yards. 1 catch for 3 yards. Might not have been enough for you for fantasy football, but we were getting opportunities in this matchup. The 68% opportunity share makes me want to buy in even more. And we know things are going to be up and down because the Giants are up and down. We know this is a good prospect. We know we got good vision. We know we got the burst. The Giants are up and down. He's going to be up and down. We are on the road against Carolina. That's a great matchup for him. Looking at the quarterbacks, Jayden Daniels, QB9 for the week. Another QB1 week. And we're not going a week without a QB1 from the rookies. Bo Nix holding strong. Not too far off from Jayden Daniels. 17.7 PPR fantasy points. Made him the QB16. Caleb Williams, another down week. That's back-to-back. Last week he was QB 28. Now he's QB 29. He scored 9.3 PPR fantasy points last week to 9.2. That's per the spreadsheet. You could have different numbers due to your league. Quarterbacks are usually different from league to league. Drake Maye, QB 20, 15.7 PPR fantasy points. The big thing to note here, the difference between QB 20 and QB 9 is like 4 fantasy points. Remember that when you think about your start-sit options. Remember that when you think about rostering 2 quarterbacks. If you got a good quarterback, if you got one of the top guys who's consistently up there, you're probably good not having a backup, and you're good just stashing backup running backs or high-end wide receivers with high-end volatility and just playing the matchups and hoping something hits on the upside, then messing around with 2 quarterbacks. If anything, that could just freeze up your brain and also freeze up your roster spots too. Because think about it, Drake Maye was the QB 20. He really not too much far off from being the QB 5 or QB 8 or whatever it is from those thresholds on that week. But thinking of it along those lines, those onesie positions, quarterbacks and tight ends, just get one of them. Just get one of them. But the rookies are looking good at quarterback this year. A very good rookie class. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Be sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.